Welcome to Ukraine, with your host, Pastor Bert.
Beloved, cheers! In our last episode, Putin, Wino Addict, I revealed and have evidence showing Vladimir Putin as being an addict for at least 26 years. As a result, he suffers from mental degeneration, clinically defined as alcohol dementia, actually a form of Alzheimer's disease, evidence of which I will present today. Besides being a priest for 43 years, I have served in family counseling where addiction, both alcohol and drug addiction, commonly destroys most families where addiction exists. Addicts invariably share common behavior: short temper, violence, schizophrenia, manic depression, health problems like liver disease, shortness of memory, dementia, inability to learn. 36% of Russian men are alcoholics. Only 7% of Russian women are alcoholic. Russia has the highest rate of alcoholism, over 20% of all nations in the world, starting with violence. Putin has warred with many nations. If Putin doesn't like you as a person, he kills them or he kills their nation. But what you don't see with Putin are many pictures where Putin is around women. This is not healthy. The Bible states, Genesis 2:18, quote, "It is not good for man to be alone." But with Putin, he is essentially alone. Putin divorced from his wife 10 years ago and has not remarried. Putin, age 71, has a girlfriend, Elena Kabayeva, age 40, a former Olympic rhythmic gymnastic, extremely decorated, who lives, when in Russia, in a separate house a half-mile from Putin's home. The couple became engaged in 2008 but have never married. Elena has been actually outside Russia much of the time since 2015, living in Lugano and Cologne, Switzerland. Elena Kabayeva, Putin's girlfriend, for over a decade decided not to marry the richest man in the world. Why? Vladimir Putin, because after many failures in the bedroom with him, she would prefer to sleep and accept a less wealthy man who could at least perform bedroom and give her some enjoyment. The point is, the girlfriend does not live with Putin, but when in Russia lives in a great house a half-mile away from Putin's home, just so she didn't have to sleep with Putin any longer. Putin actually bought that house for Elena to keep her as a public, quote, beard. That's a fantasy to all Russia and the world that Putin's sexual life was absolutely macho perfect, when he has actually no sex life at all. The word, quote, beard, unquote, in English is a slang term to describe a person, in this case, Elena Kabayeva, used knowingly as a fanciful sexual spouse or girlfriend to conceal one's true sexual life of orientation. That is, of Vladimir Putin. Thus, every night, Putin sleeps alone, wakes up alone most every day alone, and at 71 has no sex life whatsoever because his tiny penis is also impotent. Putin is a short man, 5'7" tall, but also small, but has a small penis. Putin actually raged among his staff. These are Putin's own words, quote, "I am the most manly man in the whole of mankind. Yet all of my life I have a tiny penis," unquote. He shouted at his aides, quote, "I ride bear through the woods and nothing happens. I go hunting with shirt off and still nothing happens. I send troops to bomb the entire nation of Ukraine, and yet still my penis is the tiny worm at the bottom of a tequila bottle. What do I have to do to have a normal size sex organ?" Women are demanding. Beyond money and size, they want more, and size does matter. Sigmund Freud, the father of modern psychiatry, famously stated, quote, "I have 99 problems, and every one of them are penis envy." Putin is an angry man with all men who get the girls while in life he attracted few, could never keep any, while he, rich and powerful as he is likewise angry at women because none he can find will love him. Large men, he happily sends them off to die in Putin's war and then appoints essentially the shortest generals in height who have little or no other credentials to lead the Russian army to defeat after defeat. Putin's shortcomings, control his life and his choices of who he appoints. To quell Putin's loneliness, like millions of men without anyone to love him, Putin turned to alcohol. Putin, when interviewed, has said that he does not appreciate hard liquor, vodka, or beer, but instead appreciates champagne, or sparkling wine as it is known by others. The most common pictures of Putin are pictures with champagne, not with women. Yet see how Putin loving looks upon champagne with the eyes that would be expected as adoration for women. In truth and in fact, 71-year-old Putin has actually given up on women. How does Putin deal with the pressures of his office and the loneliness of not having a mate? He drinks to fall asleep, and he drinks when he is on the job in the Kremlin. He drinks to escape the pressures and the loneliness. Putin, quote, only champagne is the real thing, unquote. In other words, the only rise or pleasure in life Putin can get is not from women, but pouring chemicals, alcohol, into his veins and brain. When President Yeltsin realized that as an alcoholic, he was a security threat according to Russian security policy, he resigned and stated, quote, I have done all that I can do, unquote. Meaning he as an alcoholic should not stay on as president when other Russian men who were not alcoholics and were thus not security risk to Russia take his place. Yeltsin loved Russia that deeply that he gave up the thing he loved most, being president of Russia, to give Russia a better chance by a man believed was not an alcoholic. Unfortunately, Vladimir Putin was an alcoholic. Vladimir Putin does not have the same love of Russia which Yeltsin had. He does not care if he too is even a worse security risk many times over than President Yeltsin from his alcoholism. Like a 2-year-old, he cries and acts like a spoiled brat. Me. In my 50-plus years of serving as an addiction therapist as well as a priest, the one common thread that I have found that unites all alcoholics is that they want to sell all non-drinkers into joining them. Even dead drunks. They will say to every non-drinker, do you want to have a drink? And then offers you a drink from the very same bottle that has destroyed every one of their lives. This is precisely Putin's position, as well as he entices all Russians and the world with the offer, do you want a drink? Why would Putin, as a wino, want to subject all humanity to the torment of addiction he has suffered? Because he can sell you. If he can sell you to join him and drink the same poison, then he can make the moral argument that you cannot look down on him for living on the addiction bottle every day of his life. Therefore, to protect his own shallow, crushed ego, he will break any rule of decency to deny you the ability to look down on him. Putin is so afraid that you will reject him for being a drunk because Yeltsin was under investigation and likely to impeach for it that in his first speech on the day Putin accepted the position of being the temporary president, Putin invited all Russians to join him in this self-corruption. In his first address to the Russian people, he ends his speech to all Russia with this offer. Listen to it.
И поднимем бокалы за новый век России, за любовь и мир в каждом нашем доме, за здоровье наших родителей и детей. С Новым годом вас!
Beloved, this is your first evidence. However, Putin wants all of Russia to drink, to deny the public the grounds to have a non-alcoholic president. In our next episode, overwhelming evidence will be presented of Putin's alcoholism. Don't miss it. Friends, thank you for visiting Welcome to Ukraine, this series, How to Stop Putin and His Nuclear War. Putin's like a puzzle. You can't begin to understand what Putin is doing unless you lay down and examine every piece of the puzzle, one piece at a time. Do this enough, and you will not only empower yourself, but all of humanity by learning of the threat and the risk to all human life. How to defeat Putin and to stop its nuclear war to save all our lives. Be sure and come back tomorrow for the next installment, for the next step also in solving this hidden puzzle. Because this issue is literally life and death for our species. Lives are at stake. Whose? Well, all of ours as well as yours. We must stand against this extinction of all mankind. We must not go quietly into the night. We must bring awareness to as many of our kind to encourage more opposition to Putin's nuclear war. Please help us to help you. Please visit us also on our parent site, Free Ukraine Gives. Remember, beloved, God loves you, so do I. Until the next time, this is your host, Pastor Bert, saying goodbye, friends.